Okay, so we're going to just do a quick review. Let me turn my mic on, sorry, 1 second. So we are going to do a quick review over the different ways. So those of you who are finishing up those math problems, please continue to finish those problems while I just review over these. Get it?
Got it.
Awesome. So what you're going to actually see is there are 3 different ways. How many?
3.
3 different ways that you can solve multiplication problems. If you want to take these notes, go ahead and have your notebook out and be working on that for me. Ready? So this is our 3 methods. For multiplication. First method, this is just a quick review, is the area model. This is the model that we've been using the most lately. We're going to continue to practice it. I like this model and the place value model the best. The area model and the place value model are almost identical. I'm going to talk about the differences. Get it?
Got it.
Now, if I'm doing the area model, we know how to do these because we've already practiced some of those today. For example, a package of paper costs $2. If someone is purchasing 24 packages, how much will it cost? Well, I know that each package costs $2. That word each is a signal to me, so I know if I'm using the area model, I still have to draw my rectangle. They cost $2, and there are 24 packages. Now, I break these up into place values, but this is also a grid. When it's the area model, I'm pretending that this is a grid and that I have 2 rows and 20 columns. So that would be breaking those apart until it's 20. I'm not going to do that because that's a little hard to do, but I know that this could be 1 and this could be 1, and I could do 1 times 20 and 1 times 20. Remember when we broke those apart too? Well, I know that because I know the rule of 0, that 2 times 2 is 4. Good. I love hearing those voices. And that 2 times 0 is what?
0.
0. I can also use the rule of 0, and that if there is a 0 in the equation, there's a 0 in the answer. Awesome. Now, I solved for the area of this box. That means that the number of square units in this box, how many of those little boxes there are? There are 40. Get it?
Got it.
That's why it's called the area model. We talked about these are called square units, right? Now I know that 2 times 4 is
8.
8. So I'm going to write my 8 in my box. That's telling me that in this entire box, there are only how many squares?
8.
8 squares. So I take the 2 answers for all of this area and all of this area, and I add them together. So 40 plus 8 is 48. There are 48 square units. Now this is area model, right? Because when we've talked about area, that's the number of square units or centimeters or whatever unit I'm using of measurement. The other model that we practice is called the place value model. What's the model?
Place
value model. Now, the only difference between these 2 models is that when I'm using the top model, I know that this is involving these little itty bitty squares, and this is focusing on what? Place value. So I have that same problem. And all I'm doing to explain the difference between the two models is I have the same problem. I have $2 for each of the 24 packages. And all I'm doing different is explaining to myself the value of these two things. Well, for the place value, I only have a ones box this way. So I have two ones boxes. This is my value. So I'm not going to break it apart. If I had a 10, I would stretch it out and have the different values. We'll get to that later. In this case, the only digits I'm breaking it into is the tens value for the 2. There are 2 10s, but I have to put that 0 there, and 4 1s. And I'm writing out my equation. I get 20 times 2, which equals 40. Ooh, you guys are paying attention. And 2 times 4 equals 8. The biggest difference between the two models is they're using a grid here with those little itty bitty squares. In the place value model, it's more about the value of the digits. What's confusing to me as a teacher and as a student is that these models look exactly the same. The focus is different. The area model represents square units. The place value model focuses on the value of the digits. Get it?
Got it.
In multiplication, I will allow you to use these models. I will also allow you to use old school. Now, old school is how your parents learned to do multiplication. So we're going to go to number 3, and this is old school. Now, with the old school method, I understand that several of you are like, oh, my mom already taught me how to do this. My dad taught me how to do it. This is the one that your parents are going to see, and they're going to go, just do this method. It's the easiest. Your job as a student is to say, well, I can do old school, but I actually like the place value method, or I like the area model better. It doesn't matter to me which of the models you use, but I want you to use the one that is best for you. So that's a self-evaluation time. Which one is easiest for me? I'm not very good at multiplication, so seeing the boxes and breaking it into smaller chunks and adding them together, it makes more sense to me. Get it?
Got it.
So with the old school method, same problem. I have $2 for each of the 24 packages. So when I do old school, I cannot leave it horizontal. I have to change it to vertical. When I do that, my larger number goes on top. My smaller number needs to be put in the correct place value position. So I'm going to put my 2 down here, and I've lined it up the right way. Now, in this case, I'm going to work here first. 2 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Once I worked that problem, I put my digit down. Then I go to my tens place, and I go 2 times
2
is
4.
4. 2 times 2 is 4. So my answer is still 48. This is old school. There are 3 different methods of multiplication. Area model, place value model, and
Old school.
old school.